morning, everyone. It's Yvonne here to do your What's Cracking reading. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, for your support, the love you send my way every day. And for those of you who have been here for a long while, thank you for loving me so long. And there's a couple of people I met the other night at a friend's celebration. And I want to just say hello to Shirley and Jane this morning. If you are interested in a personal reading with me, I am still doing personal readings. I'm on the verge of putting my website back up again, though, because I feel it's sort of getting a little bit more busy. So if you are interested in a personal reading with me, you can email me at theaussiegoddess@gmail.com, all one word, all spelt correctly, no numbers. And I can respond to you with lists of costs and times or whatever. If you're overseas, I use a time clock to work out timing. So if you just let me know where you live, and if you're in Queensland or Perth, like where you have a different time zone here in Australia. We are going to use the Celtic Universal Tarot for your reading today. What else? I'm going to get on for a little while. If there's any members around, I'm going to get on for a little while and do a short reading for the members and just see if I can catch up with anybody. If I get 2 or 3 people on board, I might run a quick tarot lesson. So if you're about, I'll be out and about, ready in about half an hour, I guess, after readings, maybe 3/4 of an hour. All right. If you are interested in becoming a member, you've got the join button or the membership button below. So if you want to learn about the tarot and have one-on-ones with me, then you would need to press the deluxe readings. So I'm probably going to review the memberships because I feel like perhaps they're not as attractive to people as I'd like them to be. I would love to be able to share how I read with you. So anyway, so I may review that. Okie dokie. Let's see where we're going today. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Pentacles first out. Now, it's really interesting because this card came out a lot last week and I feel the week before. And it always makes me feel when I see the Queen of Pentacles, for me, because she's so closely aligned with the Empress in her energy, there's always a feeling that people are really taking notice of themselves. They're really starting to understand how to ground themselves, how to work with themselves, and what we mean by doing this self-work. We are raised in a society where we are led to believe the ego is all-encompassing. And we have learned through our childhood how to use our ego, and then we spend a lot of our lives later on understanding what parts of the ego we don't really need. So I always talk about the fact that we need some ego because we need something to keep us safe. And Freud talked about the super id ego, superego's ego, and it was actually a really, really good way of looking at things, but it's quite complicated. But basically, we grow up believing the things that were told to us when we're young are true. So when we get older, we start to realize that perhaps that isn't true anymore, and we start to cast stuff off. And that's where the growth comes in. So sometimes that can be quite a challenge. You know, when you hear people sort of talking about working through their shadow side, we understand that that can be quite a challenge. Like really understanding those parts of yourself that really aren't helping you in life. I always talk about me, you know, when you've been raised with narcissistic family, you can become quite self-righteous. It's my way or the highway, or it's just that's the way it is. And it might take you years to understand that actually it's not the way it is. You know, some things we're told we adopt and we naturally evolve into those without actually realizing there's no truth to them. So you hear a lot of people say, oh, my parents voted for this particular political party, so I do too. That's sort of that energy where you're not really digging deep to find out more about yourself. So when I see the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like I'm talking to a lot of people who are really going through this self-work at the moment. All right, so we have behind that the Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. You know, sometimes we're offered things that we can't really incorporate into our journey. You know, it's sort of like, I'm trying to think of a particular example. I mean, can always be people, where you sort of get to a point in life and you think, that person really isn't serving me anymore and I need to move on. But it can also be about other things that you have around you. Like you may have been living in the same place for 20 years and you're bursting out of your skin to get out of that place because, maybe your neighbors are a little bit difficult to manage. Maybe you're, too far away from everything, or maybe in too deep. Maybe you want to move to a different area. And sometimes what we do is we sort of realize that we need to cast something off. Now, for some of you, it could be in regard to a Capricorn, because we do have, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo energy here. Why I said Capricorn, I have no idea, but if that relates to you, then it's meant to be. But I have you moving away from something here, and there's lots of lessons being learned. Now, I do have the Two of Pentacles behind that, so there seems to have been some sort of choice here to move forward and leave something behind that wasn't serving you. Yeah, there's an ending here with the Ten of Swords. Could be in regards to a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio as well. And as I say, that might not necessarily be a person. It might be that you've understood a certain way of doing things or a certain way of seeing things. I just want to get into a bit more of the energy so I can sort of explain to you. Maybe you've been doing training in something for a while. This is a really good one. I started out on my learning journey with psychology. I was really interested in psychology. I thought it was beautiful. And I remember the first 2 years of doing it, I was absolutely in my element. Everything was great. But then came in all the statistics and all the mathematical stuff. And I was like, this isn't what I thought psychology was. And it really threw me. And then I realized it wasn't what I wanted to do at all. And I didn't really like what psychology represented for me. And I always say psychology has its place. I think it's a really good therapy for talking things through, and getting things sort of out into the open, dealing with some stuff, but it doesn't take you as far as you need to go. There's a point there where you need to sort of move more into spiritual area, where you are starting to understand that you need to grow, not keep yourself confined. And I started to realize that wasn't what I wanted. And it sort of led me on the journey. I went into social sciences because I felt they aligned with me a lot more. So I transferred my degree. And then, of course, from there, I went on to do a life coaching course and did my life coaching. So I think for me, it was sort of like that point where I realized I was growing and I couldn't relate to where I was anymore. And I guess it sort of feels like a relationship too. When you meet someone and everything sort of feels really good, the relationship goes well, and there gets to a point where you feel like you've outgrown the person. And it could be not just a romantic relationship, that can be even a friendship, but where you feel that you outgrow people, or that you are no better than anyone. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about seeing yourself in a different place. It's about understanding that that ego you started out with has led you down a certain path. But if you start to work out what that is for you, then you might start to understand how to move in a different direction. And it could be lots of things like that. I have so many people who come to me who say, I did a degree in engineering, dentistry, whatever. And now I've realized that, perhaps I did that because it was what my parents wanted rather than what I wanted. I have people saying, I wanted a career in singing, dancing, acting, art, and people said to me, I can't make a career out of it. So I've got a career in retail and I hate it. So I think that we start to understand what, I always say floats our boat, what makes our heart sing, and then we start to make those changes in our life to be able to go with that. Somebody said to me the other day, the changes are so hard. And I want to say, yes, they really are hard. You've really got to dig deep and, do a lot of meditation or whatever it is you're using, that tool you're using to get yourself to the place where you want to be. But, once you start getting there, there's no going back, because you can't relate to the old version of yourself anymore. And I think it's beautiful to look back and think, obviously that comes out of innocence and what you're taught. But at the end of the day, you want to be true to who you are. You want to live in your truth. You don't want to be, the person that some other people have raised that is representative of what they expected or who they were. So I feel like this is a lot of what's going on in the universe at the moment. A lot of shedding of skins, a lot of seeing things for what they really are rather than what we think they are. We can live in a pretty much a bubble for much of our lives before we change that. And I feel like it's not necessarily age related either. We can start doing that, when we're more mature, but a lot of people start doing that when they were younger. And for some unknown reason, some of those experiences you have when you're young set you on that road for, your low self-esteems and your low confidences and not knowing who you are and sort of waking up one day and thinking, I am nowhere near where I want to be and I'm going to change everything. And you do. All right, let's get into it. So I have the King of Pentacles coming through. I feel like I've done this reading before. The Four of Wands. We have the Four of Cups, interesting energy, and the Justice card. There you go. That says it all. I feel like somehow or another, this may be even in regards to work or career for some of you. Or maybe just starting out again and not really understanding what you want to do. So I do get people sort of saying to me, I've been doing this all my life and I don't want to do it anymore. And I say, well, what would you like to do? And people say, I just don't know. And I say the best way to work with that, my psychological approach, is to sit down with a pen and paper and write down all the things you like to do. And on the other side of the paper, write down all the things you don't want to do. Maybe you like working with people. Maybe you are really good with your hands and writing and drawing. Write all those things down and see how you go, because it's a really good measure of what you like and what you don't like. Put it away and revisit after a couple of weeks and really ask yourself, are they true for me? Are they false for me? Is this really what I want to do, or is this really what I don't want to do? Because sometimes we'll write out of our own egos. So it's really good practice. I feel like here for some of you, this is about perhaps being self-sufficient, independent, and that's why I say maybe for some of you it is about a relationship. I feel like you're very dissatisfied with life, but then the Justice card is here. So it's almost like the universe is saying to you, it's time. It's time to really release those parts of yourself that don't serve you anymore and look at what it is you want to do. For some of you, this is definitely about love and commitment. And for others of you, this is about perhaps leaving something behind. So maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you just haven't found love yet and you want to work out how to find love. So let's just keep going. All right, we have the Ten of Pentacles. I love it with the Sun. Oh, very nice. And the Tower. So I feel like this is really about, for me, turning your world upside down to see what you really want and what you don't want, and really making that decision, because you've got the Ten of Pentacles here. Maybe you've been in jobs which are very low paying but very demanding, and now you're realizing that perhaps you want to earn more, support yourself more, but have something that you can really get your teeth into and, feel that desire to go to work. 13:33 on the clock. All right, have the Queen of Cups coming through with the Page of Wands and the Death card. With the Seven of Cups. Okay, so there are some dreams for people that they haven't fulfilled or they haven't been able to get to. It's never too late to fulfill your dreams. Absolutely not. And I feel like sometimes people get into their sort of midlife and they're like, well, it's too late now. Never too late. It is never too late to decide to do a degree. It is never too late to go traveling. It's never too late to find the love of your life. It all happens when it's meant to. So there's a real feeling here that there's like this, I almost want to say death to the old, death to whatever you've been doing, feeling, going for, whatever. I look at people who, their acting career hasn't started until they've been in their mid-30s to mid-40s. I look at people like the guy who started Kentucky Fried Chicken and he was 65. I see people, at 70, 80 and 90 years old doing things like jumping out of planes or going on, treks or whatever. I don't feel that we are limited by age, and people will say all the time, I'm too old for that. I got told that when I was in my 20s. Somebody said to me, because I said I was going to, I think it was Australia's Wonderland then, and somebody said to me, oh, I'm too old for that. And it was somebody around about the same age as me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know that, you're trying to say to me I'm too old for that, or whether it's, and we used to have so many sayings like, mutton dressed up as lamb, because somebody said that the other day, and I was like, oh my goodness, that went out with the arc. Look at Cher. She can go out with her lovely long hair and her jeans on, and she looks $1 million. There is no limit, only your own ego. So if you're looking at other people feeling they're too old or too young, then maybe it's really good to go inside and ask yourself why you're doing that, because somebody probably told you that, and it's probably stuck with you. So you're never too old, never too young, other than the whole don't drink alcohol under the age of 18, or, restrictions like that when you're still in the care of your parents, yes. But what I'm talking about is when you're an adult making your own decisions. All right, let's just have a quick look through. I feel like here there's a lot of this sort of reviewing. I see her looking at that pentacle. What do I want? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And then I see movement coming here, but you're going towards that pentacle. So, and leaving something behind here. I feel like somehow or another, whatever you're trying to find balance in, maybe the energy I've got here, where it's that stability, trying to find your own stability. Maybe you haven't worked for a while because you didn't know where to start. But certainly here, we have a really big change coming through. I feel like somehow or another things have been very disappointing and you want to bring closure to something. But I do feel it's about you finding yourself. All right, let's have a little look at an oracle card. Oh, okay, Karma of Kutuhala. And we did have the Justice card coming out. So I have a feeling I've seen that before. Let's just have a look. Card 43. I find that it's really strange that you can have like a whole deck of cards, and just for, a few weeks you'll keep pulling out that same card. And I feel like that's what's going on here. Just a constant reminder. Your sacred soul passion is powerful enough to shift the state of your inner reality and your outer experience. So commit to what truly ignites your heart and do not be dissuaded by anything or anyone. If you are seeking to make a commitment, do so when it truly connects to your heart. Follow your genuine, meaningful bliss. Know that no matter what appears, you shall prevail, you shall arise. That which excites wonder. That's what it means. So Kutuhala is a Sanskrit term that translates to that which excites wonder. Even if it doesn't seem like it will lead us anywhere practical, following our bliss can allow for something beautiful and deeply fulfilling to unfold. We often pursue what is sensible and secure. Go for it. Whatever it is you want to do, go for it. Life is too short. Doesn't matter what. Life is too short. You need to make the best of every single moment. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you.